Just wondering, in 16 years, if you go home today and your family members asked you, what's the one biggest thing you would say you've achieved in 16 years in public life, in parliament, or in politics, what would that be?
I think I got to be chosen as a vice presidential running mate. I don't know how many people have had the privilege of that position in Ghana, and that in itself is an honor.
You've been at Ministry of Education. We've seen the rollout of free SHS. You've been at Ministry of Energy. Which one did you enjoy more, or which one do you think you delivered more?
I'm writing books on that. So,
Give us an inkling.
4 years in Ministry of Education, I left with scars, health scars, because the work was tremendous, but it was so impactful that is what kept him going. And when I look back, the volume of work that we did, for the first time, Cabinet Secretariat decided to give me an honor just for the number of policies that we doled out in that 4 years, over 50 policies or something like that. We changed everything from basic education, from early childhood education through to university. We brought up policies from early childhood education policy, primary school policy, junior high school policy, university, tertiary education, the first of its kind in the country. We totally overhauled technical vocational education and training in this country. We've seen the results. People, somebody says data speaks, results speak. I had the chance when we started this journey to speak to you once or twice. I remember the conversations around double track. Even if we take double track as an example, we said we promised ourselves 5 to 7 years we would exit. We exited double track within 3 years. 3 years. So it's impactful. The number of infrastructure in developments that we did across the country. People don't note that in this country we've been blessed with a secondary education that is a boarding education. And I tell you, hand on my heart, that is what has kept Ghana as a country in a region where every country seems to have imploded.
You've done free SHS for 8 years. With hindsight now, a better part of you, would you say there's something you should have? Maybe there are people think you should have waited and executed it at the right time. There are people said fix the infrastructure before you roll it out. Would you say that with hindsight now, there are some things you could have done better, looking at all the challenges with free SHS now?
Those who say fix the infrastructure have no idea what they are talking about. Do you complete your house, buy everything before you start childbirth? Or before you marry? That is life. It has never happened in this country or any country in the world when they fixed infrastructure before the country continues doing anything. That's it. You can't fix road infrastructure before people buy cars. You can't. You can't fix health infrastructure before people get sick. You can't. But what a country must do was to be continually improve, but not only the hardcore stuff you are talking about, the infrastructure, but the soft core things like the staff going to work in that, like health staff. How are you training the next generation of health staff? Doctors, nurses, even doctors who have qualified. How are you positioning the country to train them to postgraduate level? Because there's a continual increase in the quality of staff working in that area that will improve their service delivery. When you look at China and you look at Ghana, from the 50s to the early 80s, and look at the trajectory of maternal health, right? You see China has improved dramatically just because now every childbirth in China is a well-supervised childbirth with a well-health, with a proper train, right? You look in Ghana, we went down. And for me, I don't believe that we, as a nation, we should tout certain things that me and you wouldn't allow our children to go there. An example, health, chip compound. Me and you, would we allow our daughter or our sister or our wife to go and deliver in a chip compound?
If we had our way, no.
No.
But
So you see, it is not if you have your way. If you are thinking, governing a country, you have to have a plan that you don't start things that are inferior necessarily. Because childbirth must be a supervised, well-trained midwife. Simple.
The reason I asked my question about free SHS is that it's been a blessing for your government and party and also for the nation. However, there's also a view that it has become the bane of your party in that you give the people free SHS, hooray, but then after 2 years, 3 years, they realize that their children will stay home for months. They have to pay extra. Their children don't have places to sleep in the school and all of that. That's why I'm asking if you thought you would have implemented it in a better way.
It's actually not true. Before free SHS, or before we introduced the semester system, the number of contact hours for those who were doing the 3 terms, was far less than the semester system. I keep saying, there's one indicator of success in education that is called contact hours. The more contact hours that you have, the better the outcomes. It's a simple indicator. So before free SHS, I kept telling you, the SSS program was a 9-term program. 9 terms.
3 years per year, 3 terms per year.
Yes, it was before we started free SHS, the last, when you go back, and I'm not criticizing any government, first year had never happened in the last 10 years or 20 years. December, they were still doing placement. Google. I don't know, for some reason, when we were in A-level, we started A-level WASD examination, GCE levels around May. It is the sciences that will do maybe April, practicals that will do it earlier. But we started it in May officially. But secondary school, SSS, for some reason, they started WASI in February, missing 2 terms of the final year.
A reduction in contact hours.
So you lost one term, and that is the single reason that the 4-year results were better than the 3 years.
So it's more contact hours.
It's contact hours. And when you read that Amon Mensah report, you get to say that, yes, we can do it in 3 years, but it means that everything should be available, which there was challenges that we couldn't provide. So when we did the free SHS, one of the basic things that we felt that we had to change was contact hours. And the contact hours we changed, we have to examine ourselves as a country. Why should schools go to start work at 9 and close at 2?
So give it more time.
Give it more time.
No, but on energy, which is one ministry.
Then you give it time. It even helps parents. They don't have to
Look for somebody to look for them when they close earlier than parents close. Yes.
On the energy ministry, which is your last ministry, at the last hour of that ministry, there was apparent evidence of power fluctuations and what we call doomsaw. Your government suppressed it. There was a call for you to publish a timetable for Ghanaians. You did not. There's a view that you did it because you refused to publish it because you wanted to look nice so that when you are named as running mate, it will look good and that you have not brought doomsaw. Do you think that...
Umaru. Sorry, Umaru. It's never crossed my mind. And no single action of mine has been done with a view of political expediency. Never. In 8 years of my government, I never took a single decision that I would say was because of political expediency. See, if you are honest and you tell me what happened was doomsaw, please. It was some people who wanted to do equalization that wanted to bring it.
We're feeling it.
I'm coming. What do we mean by doomsaw? It's not just a term that you throw at anything the time lights go off.
It's off on. Doom off, saw on.
In Ghana, doomsaw had come to mean you have a timetable of when your lights were going to go off. And if you lived in this country between 2012 and 2016, it progressed from 24 hours on, 24 hours on, to 24 hours on, 3 days off. Such that, let's be fair, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, when he even was handing over, one of the things he said is that he was wondering where incoming President Nana Akufo-Addo was going to get money to put the lights on. The debt in the energy sector space was over 5.2 billion.
So you're saying that the magnitude of the power
Wait.
outage...
It was not a magnitude of power outage. It's not a magnitude. You cannot compare anything that happened between 2012 and 2016 to the 8 years of Nanado's administration.
Because of the extended nature between 2012 and 2016?
Not extended nature, because of the level of power cuts, the impact of power cuts. CSOs, NGOs, all try to quantify, monetize the extent of power cuts. The hospitals came out, how many women who died excess because of power cuts in the hospitals? How many women who died out of child labor because of power cuts? We had all these data. Do you have it now? So it was something that gripped the country. Every government since 1992 have had challenges with power. The seasonality of the rain, how it affects Akosobo and everything. I won't say that we didn't have Dumso at any time. When I became the energy minister, there were 3 big national blackouts, if you do recall. People attributed it to sabotage. People attributed the baptism of fire for NAPO and things like that. That is when I sat down, did the diagnostic study, and realized that the problems are not as you see it. And I keep saying that the problem in the last 8 years has never been a generational problem.
Because Mahama left generational capacity.
Never been generational. Now, Mama had enough generation, but couldn't even find the fuel for it. It's different.
So he fixed it for you a long time.
Fix it. I see. When you say fix what? Electricity?
He left you power.
If you understand, they never left us power. The day he was swearing in, there was power rationing in the country. The day Nanadu was being sworn in, there was power rationing in this country.
He left you Ameri, car power, all of those ones, which were generating enough excess. Actually, you even complained that there was excess.
Omaru, you always have to educate Ghanaians. Yes. I don't believe in admiring and shouting and those things. Look, when you talk about somebody getting power in his or her house, there's a generation, there's a transmission, and there's a distribution. If you don't understand that basic fact, then there's a problem with your analysis. So if you have generation, right, 1,000 power plants, you need 500 megawatts, and you have 2,000. And that 2,000 plants sitting there, effectively, they can give you only 300. You don't have a generation problem, but you have a generation problem because the generators you have are not bringing out the power you need. It's not that you don't have the plant to. The plant is not doing the work it's supposed to do.
To capacity.
So let me finish. Okay. When you have enough generation to meet what you need, and you cannot transmit it from the point of need to the point of generation to the point of need. No, take your time. It's called transmission. That is how I came up. As demonstrated, I took press around, that the cables that are being laid, the new transmission wires, somebody cannot go on a 330 voltage transmission and expect power in your house. Right? That needed to be fixed. Infrastructure. Once that was fixed, we saw enough power in the country. So when you do that, and then you have problems with distribution, and the ECG came out numerous times. Their last presentation they did, they themselves said that the power cuts that was being experienced, 75% the problem with distribution, not the problem with generation. But for the average person, he gets affected anyway. When it's a generation problem, it affects many more people than when it's a transmission problem. When the transmission problem, it affects many more people than when it's a distribution problem. Okay. Historical. Is ECG or NEDCO that supplies power to our homes? They are interface. Okay. So ECG buys power from generators and is carried by the transmitter. They are different companies. Okay. So if ECG generates, buys the power and it gets to an area and they don't have enough distribution transformers, the place has overgrown. I'll give an example, like East Legon. When I was a kid, There was not a single shop in East Legon. I live there. There was not a single shop on even the Lagos Avenue.
It's purely residential.
So purely residential. Now it's East Legon a residential.
It's mixed.
When I was growing up, there was no shop in Laboni or Cantonment.
Yeah, that's what I know.
Now, the power consumption of Laboni and Cantonment is out of their roof. Okay, the transformer they have there supplying power cannot. And so when you go to East Legon, even as a minister, I can tell you, Mempasem, those areas, Shiashi, those areas, it has been chronic shortage of power, even throughout my stay as a minister. And I was battling with ECG because they were supposed to get transformers. Even when you get the transformers, the underground cables, you have to even.
Was
So,
ECG resourced to buy these things?
tell you. So ECG was doing the work. It is not about being resourced. You collect money daily. It's managing it. ECG with better management will be probably the most, productive company in the country. ECG is not about resource, it's about management.
We've held you for long. I'll let you go, but just my last question. When John Mahama lost in 2016, the issue was whether it was a horse that was problematic or the jockey. John Mahama being the jockey, the horse being the party. You have just suffered a defeat that has, I'm not sure, been suffered in recent time by any political party. Is it Dr. Baumia who is a problem, NAPO who is a problem, or the NPP that's a problem?
People of Ghana voted, and the results of the election is not reflective of the votes of President Mahama. Because with that same vote, John Mahama lost in 2016. That same vote. In fact, in real numbers, even he decreased his number because we have added nearly 700,000 people to the register of 2016 or more. So you have to analyze it differently. Nevertheless, NPP lost. We lost both parliamentary and presidential. I can tell you, Mario, that this loss has got nothing to do with economic mismanagement.
Who should we blame if we're looking for someone to blame?
I'm getting there. If you do the diagnosis, it's got every country in the world, when people have lost elections based on economic mismanagement, they go in droves to vote for the other party.
Or abstain?
No. I'll tell you the reason for abstinence. Everywhere citizens move in droves to support the opposition, number one reason is economic. In Ghana, I'll give you an example. In the US, Donald Trump lost election. Even when he won the first time, he lost the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. This time round when he won hugely on the popular vote at the Electoral College. And the number one reason, the base American will tell you, they saw grocery prices going through the roof.
Economy.
America, it was economy. In Ghana, people voted or did not vote. NPP people sat there with a loose term that people understand, voter apathy. Voter apathy affected both parties, but affected NPP even more. And voter apathy, when you analyze it, and, my party has sent the team around, as integrated the team. They'll come up with only one answer.
Which is?
Governance issues.
This current government.
Governance issues.
Explain that, please.
See, when people in your party are fed up with the way you are governing, they decide not to go to flock to the opposition, but they don't even want to turn up to vote. So if you've cared to listen, everywhere you go, sometimes in some places, people were even at the police station who were saying they're not going to vote. It has never happened in this country. MPs were begging people who they knew. They said, no, they're not going to vote. That is not about economic mismanagement. That's about a deep-seated problem the party hasn't addressed. And that is a
Party or
government issue.
government? So is it a party problem?
There's a party that begets the government, or
yeah. Yeah.
True or
But
false?
there's someone who
True
runs
or
it.
false?
Correct. But
True or false?
Yes, but when
And
you
when a
get-
party begins a government, right, the leadership of the party goes to the government. Right. And I'm telling you, it's a governance issue. If it's a governance issue, it means it's the government, right?
how come you didn't notice this? Or you noticed by you?
Who says the NPP didn't notice it?
Why didn't you fix it before election?
Who says we could fix it? You see, you can't.
You're going for the
imagine-
iceberg. You couldn't steer
you
yourself
can't-
away.
No, you can't imagine yourself to be a master of everything at every time. G. There are certain events that you may not be able to do anything about it, and it will hit you all over the world. It is not MPP that has suffered a crash. Look, in 1992 we had zero representation in Parliament. The country and the parties learned, because in 1992 the presidential election and the parliamentary election were two different dates. So when one party lost, they wrote the stolen verdict, and they decided that they were going to boycott Parliament. It was a party decision, right?
Yep.
Subsequently, that same party met and said that we should never have boycotted. It was better for us to go with a few seats that we would have won than to boycott. So the party changed, the country changed, and decided to fix both elections one day so that the snowball effect doesn't happen. And the snowball effect happened again in 2008, true or false? So you don't want people to do things because of a snowball effect. You want people to do things analyzing the situation around. But I can tell you, I was the vice presidential running candidate for my party. My party lost the election. I've stood on the chamber of the floor and said, so we only can apologize to our supporters and Ghanaians and sit down, do our homework well, and come back. Because it will not be the first time the party has come back.
This is a verdict on Akufo-Addo. You agree that this election was not about you and Bawumia, but rather how Akufo-Addo has governed the
In
party?
2008, when we lost, they said it was a verdict on Kufuor.
Did you agree?
Whether I agreed or not, it's not what people say. It's the people's opinion.
Do you agree now?
I'm just telling you. You are trying to say it's the verdict of Akufo-Addo. Every time, you just, even in asking the question, you said when John Mahama lost in 2016, people said it was John Mahama's fault.
I didn't say that.
said that.
I said the argument was about whether
Now
it
you
was a
change the
jockey.
word
No,
to
I said it was
argument,
whether.
but it's the same thing.
No, I said it was whether the jockey or the
This distinction
horse.
has no difference.
No, I said it was whether the
Jockey. Who was the jockey?
jockey or horse.
Who
I
was
gave
the
you two
jockey?
options.
Who was the jockey?
It came from a
Who
committee.
was the jockey?
Jockey was the rider, and then the
The
horse.
rider was who?
Muhammad.
Okay.
So this time around,
people, even at 2016, questioned whether the loss was because of Mahama or NDC as a party. Nevertheless, they lost. And that's why I'm saying that no matter who you blame, the party has lost.
But you haven't brought the Ashanti votes, though. Finally, that's my last question. They said you were going to bring Ashanti votes.
I hope you never ask that question again, because it might provoke somebody to insult you. The whole country didn't vote. We lost 2.1 million votes. Can it be formally Ashanti? When I hear somebody say that, I feel really that I have to insult the person. That Ashanti didn't bring a vote. What does that mean? Did Volta region bring a vote? Go and check NDC votes in 2016 and 2024, or 2020 and 2024, and look at the votes. Even in Greater Accra, John Mahama lost votes, 5% votes compared to the last elections. So we should not get on that. That doesn't make sense, insulting tribes and people.
Thank you.
Because if you disagree, that people will say, oh, NDC is not helping the Voltarians. It's a slippery slope we are setting up this country. In fact, in Ashanti, 65% of the people turn up to vote. 65% of the people on the register.
Which is higher than the 60% of the general turnout.
Yes!
The turnout is actually quite high.
The Ashanti region turnout was far. There were probably only 4 or 5 other regions that turned up higher than Ashanti. When you rate the 16 regions, probably the worst region of voter turnout was Volta region of Greater Accra. 46% or something. So, please, let us not tribalize things like that.
The reason I asked that, though,
Let us not tribalize things like that. And to say, did Bawumia, the North, not bring the Northern votes?
did he?
I'm asking you. So you can't ask a question that doesn't make sense, in the sense that the whole country, the votes didn't come. NPP lost.
Doc,
Just
respectfully,
2020.
respectfully, Doc.
NPP got 6.7 million votes. And in 2024, NPP dropped their vote to 4.5. That is shared around the whole country. That 2.1 million loss is shared around the whole country. Ashanti region being probably at that time the most populous region for vote. Right? But people also should understand that for a long time, the highest region for NDC vote has always been Ashanti region, the whole country.
And that's why many
You know
said.
that?
That's why many
You
said
believe that?
we've done the analysis.
Don't generalize the
you see,
Do you believe that,
Doc.
that the NDC's highest vote is always in Ashanti region?
Doc, the NDC's highest vote.
Omaru, Sanda.
You see,
Omaru,
Doc,
Sanda.
my question to
you
you
brought
is,
something that I'm asking the question.
You see,
You
I
said
don't-
you do the data. You
see,
just told people that you do the data.
I am
you do
saying
the
to you
analysis.
that, Doc,
I'm saying that
The reason-
NDC's highest, single highest regional vote. If it's NDC says they have a World Bank, right? The vote of the NDC World Bank is in Ashanti.
no problem. The reason I asked the question I asked was, you see, when you were nominated, people say, oh, you're from Mensha. It's very significant, and I'm using Mensha importantly here. They even said your lineage to Nana
I
Prempeh.
never heard all that.
Okay, maybe if it's not true, then that's fine. But that's what I heard. And they said
My
that-
lineage is true.
Yes,
But
so-
these arguments you are making, if
Yeah.
a fringe makes an argument, it doesn't mean it's a general.
So they say you're going to
They
harvest
say
the
who?
votes.
Give me one name.
A lot of the party
No,
supporters
not
said
it's not true.
the reason they chose you.
The party supporters, or Bawumia didn't choose me because I was Ashanti. Have you asked Dr. Bawumia?
No, I haven't.
So how do you then go to somebody who has the exclusive reason for choosing a candidate and then say that some people you met at the roadside are saying they chose NAPO because of Ashanti? That is, again, tribalizing elections in this country.
Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank
And
you.
That's Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Well, he's the outgoing member of Parliament for Mensha South. In the next few hours or so, this Parliament, which he belongs to, will die, which also goes with his tenure. He did not contest because he was the party's running mate in the elections of 2024. And you've had us have that conversation there with him about his tenure at the Ministry of Education, his tenure at the Ministry of Energy, and also his role as running mate and the campaign that he executed, which was unsuccessful, and how his own role has been in that particular contest. This is Channel One Newsroom on Channel One Television. My name is Umaru Sandawadu.